And welcome to the National Meat Treasure Podcast with your host, Tito Puente.
Hey!
Tito Puente.
I like that.
Okay.
You know what's funny?
Tito
I have no
Puente.
idea who that is,
Yeah.
but I love the name, so I say it
Tito
often
Puente.
in my head.
Yeah.
He was a national treasure.
Yeah.
That's what he was.
He's a salsa singer, right?
Yep.
He was a salsa drummer,
yeah.
more like it.
Percussionist.
Percussionist.
Yeah.
I actually, neat fact, before I even get into my next name, because I'm Celia Cruz, who was the lover
Nice.
of Tito Puente.
Oh, shit.
Because I love you, my chocolate brother. I saw Tito Puente at a Target in Queens
Get the
play
fuck
live
out of here.
for free.
That's fire.
And it was them opening up Target for the first time. So that's the most random Queens event that you'll ever hear in your life. But Joey?
Oh, yeah, and I'm Thrilla, not a Spanish singer, but
Oh, this is only...
I wish I
Sorry.
could be.
No, this is
Actually,
only
I'm a big fan of
3.5%
Hector
alcohol.
Lavoe.
That's trash.
Oh, that's like a waste.
But whatever, I'm
okay,
going.
bro.
I'm like going to sleep after this anyway. I got
No, that's
I got a
facts,
photo
that's
shoot in the morning.
facts.
I got to be up early.
Hey, nice.
Ooh, a photo
Look at
shoot.
this guy.
Hey. Listen, Modelo, if you want to sponsor us, bro, reach out because I love your chiladas. I was talking about this right before the pod, but what a michelada is a very delicious drink made with usually some kind of Mexican beer, lime, hot sauce, tomato, clamato, more
Clamato,
like it,
right.
very specifically.
Like clam juice and tomato sauce.
And
Yeah.
clam juice with tomato juice.
Yeah.
And
Sauce.
it's a little rough for me, the clamato. So Modelo is actually the only one that makes it with actual tomato juice and not clamato.
Okay.
And so I fuck with that heavy because I get nauseous from clams because I'm a bitch.
Aw.
I'm
I
weak.
love seafood, but I don't know about all that other shit mixed in. I don't know how that make me feel, but I'd love to try.
I mean, they sell it
the
everywhere. I'm pretty
boys-
sure. I mean, I've only seen it this one time, but Modelo's a popular brand. Also, Modelo's my lucky beer because I had a Modelo the first time I had a threesome. So,
Yo,
Modelo.
yo,
But I've never
that is
seen
a good reason to make Modelo your beer.
Yeah, definitely.
It's Modelo time, fools.
is it the commercial? Do they have commercials?
Yeah, it might as well be. Yeah, they do, but it might as well be because like, if anyone's writing harder for Modelo, it's like West Coast Chicanos and Cholos because they are writing hard for Modelo. And you know what? I want to be accepted into your culture, so I'm gonna be moving out there and I'm gonna change my name and I'm just gonna embrace my baldness.
No, you got
Okay, I'll tattoo the head. If I get accepted into some ultra dangerous gang with no jumping in, then fine.
That's fair.
I'll take the head tattoo.
Cardona MS-13. You heard it here first.
Jesus Christ! If my FBI agent wasn't listening now, I mean, he's definitely listening. If he wasn't listening before, he's concerned. He's like Christian has already promised himself to some kind of terrible
criminal organization,
criminal organization, super organization.
Yeah, I need to. I really wish. I feel like when like every kid like dreams of like being in like a gang. Oh, I guess this is probably a dream of suburbia, but but when you don't grow up, with college dreams, you grow up with dreams of the trenches and
aspirations.
I feel like I've
the streets.
I've only dipped my toes in the water of organized crime. I never really fully immersed, and it's one of my biggest regrets. Could have served 5 years in jail. Came out with some bags, some connections. Jail is like college for criminals, for drug dealers, if you serve the right amount of time.
I'm not gonna pay attention to anything this nigga's saying, bro.
Your Honor, this man is out of his mind.
This man is out of his
Listen,
mind.
niggas get connections in jail. Like if you're only serving like a 5, like a nickel, you already got a plan when you get out,
bro.
So you just bide in time, really making friends.
All right, let me ask you though, what's getting you locked up? Right, for 5 years that you're gonna do a nickel.
I want to. What does get you locked? I think like is that
because if you get caught with a certain amount of coke, you're doing 10 minimum.
I think like aggravated assault, manslaughter is 5.
Manslaughter.
You're also black, so throw another 2-3 years on there max.
Certain maybe attempted manslaughter, but like if somebody dies off of manslaughter, you could do 15.
Also, like
minimum.
I mean, this would be when I was younger, but like at my age,
oh yeah,
first offense,
that's true. Right,
I'm only getting a couple.
Yeah, yep.
Like, damn, that crazy looking nigger went this long without killing somebody. We'll cut his sentence a little short.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know, man. I don't think there's any amount of time that I'd be able to go to jail and feel good about it.
Nope.
So if that's something that you want to pursue,
it's not. But money's tight.
As your
so
friend,
we'll see what happens.
Money is tight. Listen, man,
speaking of prison time,
TV is slick.
So earlier you had said something in our group chat about how you don't hunt because you don't want to kill anything. How sweet, how precious of you. I'm a gothic street nigga, so I'm all about death and destruction. So I'm like wondering, like, if there were no consequences, what is the smallest thing you would kill someone for?
See, that's the thing. So that's where my complex it begins. Because it's not about the fact that people don't drive me to that situation, is that I actually, there's something in me that won't let me go anything past that. Like I can probably harm somebody really like a good deal, but like murder, I just think it's so final that it freaks me out, and I don't want to do it. Like that's why I won't hunt. Like because I'm like I feel bad. Like at the end of the day, I don't feel bad.
You wouldn't feel bad if you had a year's worth of meat in your house.
A year's worth. Yo, you're right. You're right. I think the way out here, a lot of people love venison. I think deer are vermin, and we should be mowing them down as quickly as we. Literally, as I was talking to you guys about deer, I was driving, and please don't ever do this. I was texting, and I look up, and there's 7 deer in front of me. Why in God's green earth do 7 deer need to be in the middle of the motherfucking road? Bro, like this was the worst thing ever.
A blunt, dude.
Like literally, I was literally just about to like spark something up. Of course, it would happen. Like that. Like I can't do it. I can't do it. I fucking hate deer. They're vermin.
I wish they were easier to kill because I would kill them all the time. We know Joey's a murderer, so we don't have to even ask him what's the Look at his face.
How many bodies you got on you? How many bodies you got?
I think the smallest thing I would murder, I wouldn't be anything small, it would be like probably just like serious disrespect. But like I don't want to kill anybody either because the shit is fucked up, man. It's just so final, like you said, and then
there's something you're gonna leave a piece with it. Like if you've ever gotten into a bad fight where somebody got like pretty hurt and you feel like you feel some regret off of that a lot, even if like some part of you's like viciously into the whole thing, which, I think all of us can give into that. There's something you go like, fuck.
See, when some of my favorite rappers,
I didn't mean that.
When some of my favorite rappers, when they talk about killing people and then they follow it up with like, now you're seeing ghosts and voices or that shit keeps you up at night. I'm like,
DMX killed
this nigga doesn't sound like he's lying. I wouldn't doubt that at all.
Right?
DMX.
Like the way he wrote like the Great Depression.
I would walk into a CVS and if you had more than 3 items, I'm taking your head off. Like that is a punishable by crime death. You don't use your turn signal, murder.
Oh, I'm catching bodies for niggas not using their turn signal, bro. I'm spraying your mother's crib up,
today,
bro.
I was sitting here thinking, like, I got gap insurance.
The body you're catching.
Somebody was riding my ass on the highway. Yo, Michigan.
You said you don't have insurance, bro?
No, I have gap insurance.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say we're gonna edit this part of the pod out because not getting
this nigga was riding my ass, and I was about to just break. I'm like, this nigga will just go through his windshield. I'll be fine.
I'll be fine.
Sometimes you gotta ride like that.
I was doing 80. And he was just on my dick. And bro, the niggas who drive so bad. I've talked about this in the pod before, but like, it's a wonder when people drive bad. Like, if somebody drives badly or drives like aggressively, and they're in like a Maserati or insert cool fast car like a Hellcat. Like, okay, you're a dickhead, but at least I get why you're being a dickhead. The amount of beat up Honda Accords that'd be like whipping. Those Nissan Altimas whipping. Like, this is a 1994. This car is older than my child, and my child's almost a teenager. So why the fuck are you whipping this shit right now? You're not going to a job. You're not going nowhere important that way. There's no way. There's no way you going anywhere in the Nissan Maxima. All right, it's not happening.
When I see somebody driving that fast in a beat up car, I'm instantly shook. I'm like, yo, they don't care about their life. They damn sure ain't gonna give a fuck about mine,
bro.
It's over. It's over.
I'll tell you, like California. I lived in California for a little bit, but I lived in San Diego more specifically, which is a border town. And anyone who's ever been in a border town knows that it is a different world. Because San Diego would have drivers with no insurance. There wasn't a law written in that you had to require insurance. I think maybe a little less than 10 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. Like they just wrote it into law. So people, like you would have people coming from the border driving whatever they had from the border with like a paper, like I mean, I say license plate very loosely because it was just like 4 letters and I think somebody's phone number, and like everyone knew like you would see those kind of riders and you would just be like just like back up and like pull over, because they are gonna hit you at one point because they're so they either have zero clue what the rules of the road are. Rules of the road are. I was right.
Yeah.
Real world versus road rules.
Really, they had no concept of it, or they were completely drunk or high off their ass, so they were definitely gonna slam into you. So like, that's a lot of fear. You know what? I will say this: the Pennsylvania dudes out here are not the worst drivers. I think it's because there's so little of them, and you never bump into them. I just feel fortunate not to see them.
I feel like Pennsylvania driving. I mean, I can. You know what? Maybe can I even speak, because like I got my license in Pennsylvania, so like I've done most of my driving in Pennsylvania, so maybe I'm just used to it. But I feel like Pennsylvania drives pretty well. I don't think it
actually does.
Maybe this is
Connecticut is terrible.
I don't think New Yorkers drive that bad. I don't think New Yorkers.
They're not bad.
Jersey niggas though.
But
I can write a book.
Yeah, well,
you know what it is about New York driving?
They park on the opposite side of the street.
Those niggas got something wrong with them, bro. They have something wrong.
You know what it is about New York driving? All the worst driving I see is done by people who wrote, like, anytime somebody does something stupid on the road in New York, Florida plates, Maine plates, Connecticut plates, there's somebody who's not accustomed to what's happening here. But as far as like New York driving, like people are like, "Oh my god, you're driving in the city." I'm like, "Yeah, like it's just slow, really." It's
That's
slower
the most
than
annoying
randomly
part about
faster,
it.
a lot faster, because you got to like whip into a fucking lane real fast. But
yeah.
So speaking of driving, and now do you you guys already kind of alluded to it? Do you guys experience road rage? Because
I used to.
I'm gonna go into a story after you guys give me.
I used to. I got on medication, and then I left. I stopped working at a job where I had to. Yeah, no, I'm dead ass. Like, that was when I first got into therapy. That was a big part. I'm like, yo, my road rage is crazy.
Yeah,
and it wasn't like I would ever be starting nothing with people, but I'd be in my car screaming,
right?
and I was like, yo, I need help, my nigga.
You know what I get into?
I might have to go.
I get into parking rage. Like, I kind of expect roads to be like, based on like whatever time of day it is. I just expect a certain amount of dickhead drivery. I've had to up my standards a little bit in Michigan because people like really like now it's a game. I count how many people don't use turn signals. It's like 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10 use turn signals here. It's crazy. I've like made a game out of it now. But my shit is parking rage. Like, I'm whatever I'm already, like I said, I've done the math in my head of how long it's gonna take me to get somewhere, how much traffic it is based on the hour.
Mm-hmm.
But when you just like unexpectedly can't find parking and you're just driving around, that shit drives me insane. That's why I had the Modelo before the threesome, bro, because I was going to to a situation, and I'm thinking this shit's probably not even gonna happen. To the situation, I don't think this shit's probably not gonna happen. This bitch is capping on me, and I'm like driving, looking for parking by this girl's crib. And I cannot find, like, 15 minutes I'm driving around fucking looking for parking. And I was so flustered and pissed off. And I parked like 8 blocks away. And I was just so mad. And I just was like,
to get a Modelo on the way.
With your meat.
Yeah, got a Modelo on the way. And I'm just drinking in the street. Like, I need to calm down. I'm drinking, I'm smoking a cigarette.
With a rock.
And then, but the
it
pilgrimage paid off. But
yeah,
most of the time,
the Modelo really chills out.
Yeah, most of the time there's not group sex at the end of finding parking.
No,
right?
No. You know what? I'm proud and happy for you that happened, because that would have killed my whole mood. Listen, Queens is one of those places. Queens is one of those places where I grew up, like in like Flushing area, like we would spend like 30 minutes plus looking for light parking. Like I lived in East Elmhurst. I didn't have a car, and when I did get a car, like towards the end of it, I was just so happy I was going to be leaving 2 weeks later that I was like, I'm never going to have to deal with this shit again. Like I don't parallel park, like, ever. You know, it's a nice life. I don't think anyone should have to parallel park
to get here. I was like the tightest squeeze, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this work.
No one should. That should be illegal. I think it's a good skill. Like, sure, we all need it, but you shouldn't have to do it.
So
I think every place should be just a pull-in spot.
Everyone should get one spot how does that work? Are you
everywhere? I don't give a shit, bro.
He said somebody figure this shit out.
Fuck.
Are you just
I don't know. I'm not the engineer.
Are you changing?
I'm not the engineer, bro.
Are you engineering the fourth dimension?
I'm the big idea guy. Okay, so you guys shared your experience with road rage. So I have not the best track record with most things like that. I lose my fucking ever-loving shit, especially when I'm in the 5 boroughs, because it is so slow. I just have that extra second to yell at you. Like the last time I remember, I was like South Brooklyn, like Bay Ridge area. And it's you know how that is, Joey. It's like fucking tight. Everything's fucking terrible.
Boy.
Sunset Park all the way down. It's just like terrible. So like I'm everyone's like, for whatever fucking reason, Brooklyn and Queens does it more than anyone else in the world. Double parking is so bad in like fucking like in the only 1 car lane, right? So then and it's always the fucking guy who doesn't speak any English or any language, to be able to communicate with him. Because, like, I speak multiple languages. I should be able to communicate with you. No, you're still a fucking idiot. And it was this dude literally in a giant minivan, and he had it all fucked up, and, like, obviously, like he got into a few accidents. And I don't know what possessed me, but I stuck my head out the window and I said, "You fucking dickless wizard," because he had a big beard. He had a big white beard, and I yelled at this poor man from my car with my infant in the car, "You dickless wizard!" Like, I just lost it on him. That's my kind of road rage, and I need to go back to therapy, I think, guys, because that's.
When was this?
I haven't experienced. That was a few years ago. That's a good one, though. I do lose my shit regularly on people, so that's why I try to keep it low stress. I keep it over here. No one bothers me. Like, the Pennsylvania drivers are very timid and mild. They're good. Not like they run. They go to their destination quickly.
Right.
They want to get there.
I feel like if I'm on the street and someone yells at me and calls me a dickless wizard, at first I might be tight, but then I'm like, did he call me a dickless wizard? Like, you gotta give him, you gotta give him props for that. At that. You know, you gotta give him props for that.
That was off the top of the dome, bro. That was off the top of the dome. That's the thing. You 1 extra second you give me to, like, let me think about what I'm about to say.
Oh,
murder.
People have definitely yelled at me from their cars, but, like, I'm kind of always texting and driving, so, like, I'm just like, sorry, dude. Like, what do you want me to? There's bitches on the line. I don't know what you want me to do, bro. Like. Sometimes I just want to be driving and just, like, stick my phone out the window, like, look at this bitch's OnlyFans. Like, of course I'm gonna pictures on the road, bro. Like, you see this black anime ass?
Well, you've been on the phone with me. You've been on the phone with me with somebody experiencing their own type of road rage. I don't know if you remember this. We were talking on the phone, like, talking about the podcast, like, in the very early days, and admittedly, I'm not telling you that I was under the influence, but I might have been under the influence, and I had sparked something. And so I just, like, went onto, like, a merging lane pretty quickly and abruptly. I didn't pay attention. I blew through it. And a woman followed me for about 5 miles.
Nah, that's crazy.
And tapped on my window, screamed at me. She's like, if you can't handle being on the phone, maybe you shouldn't be on it. And I just, like, I was so, like, I'm going to use the word flabbergasted, because I had never experienced anyone's, like brain break that hard that they had to drive. Like, 5 miles was at least 15 minutes for you. Like, you spent 15 minutes the whole way. I'm going to give him like, what if I was a murderer? What if I was
talking to? Speaking of Karens, though.
Stab!
I saw something today on TikTok, because I love to shit on Whitey, even though we're having a white guest. But more on that later. But so this white woman was on TikTok saying, like, trying to explain the reason behind Karen behavior, and she was like, the reason behind Karen behavior is because in America, like, there's never been like matriarchs in America, so like, men in America have never looked at women in any kind of respectful way. Right. So white women like have no power. So their only power is their ability to use sex or to emotionally manipulate men or whoever. And that's why you have these Karens who like wig out and like it's in their DNA to do that, because, and this is a white woman saying this. She's basically saying that like white women have like no, like, that's why you have all these white girls who copy black women, because black women are looked at as strong. There's no white women who are looked at as strong. They're not. No one's trusting them with anything. No one cares. Like, and this is just culturally for white people. So, and now you have Karens who like, and you've seen the videos too, because like the thing about Karen videos is that seeing a woman wig out is one thing. You could be mentally ill. I don't know what's going on with you. You could have Tourette's, whatever. But when you see the composure, and then they look at the camera, and then they start wigging out, those videos, those are fucking mad scary to me, bro. Like, the fact that you, like,
oh, yeah,
put on a show, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, man. You were dealing with a Karen. I think terrifying. Karen's in their DNA. What do you think? As two men married to white women.
Dicey!
Nah, I don't really know much about Sasha. But I couldn't see Joni Karening out. I couldn't see her doing
Absolutely not.
You know what? She does anti-Karen.
Like, she just gets like...
She actually, that is her favorite Pokemon. I will say that on air. But no, she's very anti-Karen, so she ends up like fighting them, because I think I've shared it on the pod. Like, Joni gets hot, like real hot. Like, you're like, and like real pissed off. Like any kind of just like angled look, and I don't pay attention to it, because there's like, as a Latino male, like, and a bigger guy, always like, you kind of desensitize yourself. You like, and I'm sure you guys even further, that like there's a certain amount you have to do to just get by the grocery store, like, without having people make you feel like you're there instantly to do something, you know, like whether it's they steal or
I'm in Detroit, baby. Like, it's only niggas outside.
Listen, man, I'll be listen, I felt that in cities, and like, you know, there's, you know, in my own communities, I feel more comfortable, obviously, right. You know, like within our own, but like it's I've experienced it, and Joni is like I literally, like, you ever seen that picture of Kevin Hart gripping onto the woman? I can't remember the woman. It's a meme. No, he's like got his legs wrapped around her. And she's like shunning the person, like kind of like doing one of those, and he's kind of baby.
I think I kind of know what you're talking about.
That's me. That's me.
You jump on Joni's back.
Baby. He's like, yeah,
baby.
Yeah. And,
I know. I literally looked up Kevin Hart woman meme.
It's exactly what it is. I turned into, I'm like, yeah, baby. And guess what? I don't think they gave us a discount for the Reese's. And then she gets like, motherfucker, you just denied my husband. No, she's a very sweet person, and she doesn't feel. We have our feelings, like as small business owners. Like, there's ways that we can, like, you know, get what we deserve. And if something's done wrong, that's totally fine. but like trying to like destroy people or make fabricating stories. Like you see some of these. I saw like one video. It was like, dude, it was at a salon, and she's like shoving herself into him and saying, "Oh, you hurt me," and that is like one of my deepest fears also. Because like at one point I'm gonna be like barking at somebody and they're gonna do that because they can't shut me up, and I'm just gonna lose it all.
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
Dark episode.
Well, like I said, I'm in Detroit. I literally. All right, let me think. How many white women do I see? There's been one redhead that goes to my gym, and I go to the original Powerhouse gym. It's like a very famous gym in the bodybuilding community. The first time I walked in there, 50 Cent video. Like, it's just mad brolic niggas in white beaters. There's never white people there. Today, there was some, like, ginger white girl I've seen there a few times, but, like, she's the only one. I can literally, if I don't count work, and I don't work in Detroit, I work in Rochester Hills. It's like 30 minutes out, 40 minutes out. Yeah, I can go a pretty decent amount of time without seeing white women specifically. Like I might see a white man here or there, but like white women, I don't see them at all. And fantastic. Just trying to have my Dr. Umar Black throuple, you know what I mean? Like, let's
jeez. Oh, Dr. Umar. I you know what? Is he like getting like double toppy like every morning? Like is Dr. Umar's life like
let me tell you something.
We need
if I live a life where two people are sucking my dick at least once a week, once a month, I have nothing more to achieve at that point. Like I'm not getting any more money. I'm just like, you know what? I'm doing something right. Something's sitting well right here in this tax bracket, in this apartment, in this size, and I'm just changing nothing. I am not advancing as a person. I'm just stopping.
With that,
if I'm getting double top from two women, and not just double top, like from two women that love me, no, we're done, baby. We're not progressing at all. Podcast is canceled. We're tapping out.
Oh Jesus! This is why I can't let you get that, and I've been the one who's blocking you the entire time. I think this is
elaborate.
This is gonna be a hard segue.
Wait, no, I'm just like
I'm the foil to your
I'm
Superman. I am.
There's just like legions of women who want to suck me off in pairs, and you've just been foiling me for months.
No, like just like no,
like, you've just been sending out the right emails. Like, don't mess with this man.
Don't. He has said it. He's disconnected and disassociating. Like I'm just like constantly like in the way, or like you find me doing blackface very offensively as you, with like like balloons, like kind of like everywhere, just like this elaborate plot. They're like, I thought you were like 6 feet, and I was like, nah, baby, that's the camera. That's like 5 inches.
I would not be offended if you did blackface as me. I think I could pull it off
with dreads. But this is a good segue as any. We actually do have a really great guest coming on to the podcast, and thank you for checking in. It's actually a good friend of mine. His name is Nick Silverstein, aka CPA. He's actually jumping on to tell us a little bit of what he's been doing recently, and I'm actually just gonna let him in, guys.
And he'll be in blackface.
Give the man a. Oh my God! Holy shit! Why? This is not the way you just you welcome a guest. I don't think CPA or Nick would be doing blackface. I think that would be inappropriate. Yeah. We absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, how are you doing, Nick? How's everything?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Hey, how you doing, Nick?
You're real low. You gotta speak directly into the earphone.
Is it this one?
Oh.
Okay, I think it's this one. Great way to introduce myself. So, we did like a costume battle royal at a show a few weeks ago, and I wanted to be Ahmed Johnson, who was definitely a little darker than me. But I was just gonna wear like, because he wore like red knee pads and red elbow pads. I was like, this is fine.
Yes.
And then
I thought you would do the Daisy Dukes version.
If it was like,
that would be
if it was like a smart wrestling crowd, I probably would have. But it was like a very like family friendly crowd. And I was like, whatever, just give them the bare bones. And one of my very good wrestling friends who was very, very black was like, hey, I'm going to give you the pass. I was like, get the fuck away from me. We're not, no, absolutely.
No such thing as a pass.
He was setting you up insanely.
Legit. He's like, no, I'll vouch for you. I'm like, no. Even before I knew I knew that was a bad thing, I never would have done that in a million years in my entire life. No,
he was trying to have you go viral and disavow you entirely.
The worst, yeah.
He's like, I do not know that man.
The worst.
I don't know why
viral.
he would say such a thing. Okay, do you guys know who Ahmed Johnson is? And I think I got to show the audience who Ahmed Johnson is. Now, this is a very powerful man.
Legend.
He literally one of my favorite wrestlers. Now, if you ever played the PlayStation game,
if you hold on, if you click on that next photo to the left, you'll see me cosplaying as him.
Is that you?
Sure is.
That is.
Holy shit!
Oh, dude, you are showing up on the algorithm. Ahmed Johnson and Daisy Dukes, you are on there.
This is great promo.
You know how many people are paying for that? You know how many people would pay for that? That's amazing.
Cool.
I had no idea. This was not planned.
Save that photo now. Send it to the group chat. That'll be the promo photo I used to promo this episode. Perfect.
Oh, sick.
That is amazing.
So
I did not plan that whatsoever.
And that's
dude. Listen, the brand is strong.
Ahmed Johnson, Daisy Dukes, and you're the 6th result. This is fame, my friend.
You have hit fame. I think you should introduce yourselves. We wore ties in your honor, sir. Justin has decided not to wear a tie, but he has one around his penis.
He doesn't.
So if you want to see that, that goes along with the Patreon at $25 a month. It's just Justin wearing small underwear.
As we do.
I do wear small underwear. But yes, introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are, what you're here for, what's going on in your life.
I am CPA. I am a pro wrestler I live in New York, but I travel pretty much all over the place to fight other people in their underwear. I wrestle in a button-down shirt, a clip-on tie, and some nice what brand? I just bought a new brand, Banana Republic. I caved in. Ooh. I bought Banana Republic. I didn't want to.
Those ain't CPA in real life that you have Banana Republic money.
Well, in my
checks,
defense, they gave
what's
me
going on right there.
Because it was my first order and probably my last order. They gave me like 10 or 15% off or something like that. So I was like, all right, we're gonna jump in. We're gonna grab this cash cow real quick and then never buy again. And they've been sending me 5 emails a day for the past 3 weeks. So
because they want you back, but you're rich now. You graduated to Eddie Bauer. Is Eddie Bauer still around?
Well, it all started because one of my friends told me about Muggsy brand, and I looked down and was like, "Oh, they look really cool. Around, what are they? $50 or $100?" I was like,
not in the budget.
Let's get that price point down like a few zeros.
Yeah,
maybe.
So tell us more about. Is it amateur, professional wrestling? Do you wrestle for a federation? Let the people know. Inform us. Inform me.
Yeah. So it's professional wrestling, like the WWF stuff. That's it. That's how I have to explain to people because people are like, "Oh, what weight class are you?" And I was like, not that type.
Not that wrestling.
Yeah.
Not that type. Well, I have actually a good video to show the audience of a recent gig that you actually had, which I obviously, as a longtime wrestling fan and somebody who's actually seen you wrestle over in the faraway lands of Broadway, New Jersey for Pro Wrestling Syndicate. Was that where you trained?
I decided when I was 26 years old that I wanted to become a professional. Like I always wanted to do it, but I just kind of like put it off. Like talked myself out of it. Like I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too this, whatever. And then eventually I was just like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna go in on it. So I scouted a few schools in the area that I lived in, which was Queens at the time. And there was a school like literally I could have biked there in 5 minutes. And I went to one of their shows and like all their students were like security guards or just like kind of standing around like with their thumbs up their asses. And then I went to a Pro Wrestling Syndicate show and they had like 10 students on the show. I was like, all right, well, this is where I want to go. Like I'm not gonna I'm not going to throw myself on the floor a few nights a week just to like be a security guard. Like I want to actually wrestle.
Yeah.
So originally the building that you were at was in Rahway. After Hurricane Sandy, that building was almost like inoperable for almost 2 years after that.
Mm-hmm.
So we did training at the Metuchen Sportsplex, which is a little further west, I guess, or south. I don't know. Jersey is just a big landmass. I don't really understand it. So we were doing it at the Metuchen Sportsplex, which was a little further, a little more of an expensive train ride. And we had to, because it wasn't our building, we had to set up and break down the ring literally every single week. And I went pretty much every day for, eventually we moved back to the rec center once they fixed it up. But I took the train to Jersey at least 3 days a week, pretty much every single week for like 4 years straight. Just because like I'm not naturally athletic, and I'm not like gifted with like, things such as like being able to jump high enough to like leapfrog over someone.
So you were not a gymnast before wrestling school?
No, if you'll believe it, if you believe it or not, I was not a gymnast before I decided to start doing pro wrestling.
I gotta say one thing. So I've known you for a little bit. We used to hang out quite a bit, and it's starting to dawn on me that we knew each other while you were training in school, and you kept this completely hidden.
Yeah.
Until like one day you were like, "Hey, this is what I do now," and like you were in a tie, and I was like, "Wait, how did you keep that hidden like so well? Like, were you? I feel like this is a very Superman Clark
this
Kent
is definitely
kind of
like
deal.
a supersized order of like Nick
the whole
personal
shtick.
mental problems. But I just like when I started doing it, I didn't want to tell everyone about it because in case I decided I didn't want to do it anymore, I didn't want to be like, "Hey guys, sorry, that whole thing didn't work out. Anyway, let me continue being a schlub and doing nothing." So yeah, I just I told like the person I was dating at the time, I told them, and that was pretty much it. And I just like went like hit the ground running with it, and I didn't tell anyone until I was like, "Hey mom, I'm wrestling this weekend. Do you want to go to the show?
Jeez.
It's in Jersey." And she's like, "What?"
Kept it under wraps.
I'm like, "Yeah, I wrestle now." Yes.
That is amazing. You totally Peter Parkered your mom.
I told nobody.
You just like straight up like just hid your whole identity, kept her in the dark. Like this is a secret identity, and this is it's what's great about I think what you've done so far is like I've been following you since I saw you, and there's also something that I was personally a favorite of mine, the Many Faces of Nick. Also, you had Nick Stapp as another.
Yeah, he was. We don't talk about
wrestling
Nick too
alter
much
ego
anymore.
or personality spit. Like, what would you call it? Because you sure? Because I think we would all welcome him. We would all welcome.
That was just
all welcome Nick Stapp back with arms wide open. Personally,
before I knew that there was going to be a pandemic, obviously. I don't know. I just wanted to try something new, and it was fine. It had its moments. Like I had like the trapped thing was kind of cool.
It was great though. I love it, man.
Just I don't know. It pretty much gave me a year to like remember like the good stuff that I had when I was just like the CPA guy. Because the problem with pro wrestling, it's not a problem, but the thing with pro wrestling is that like obviously like like back in the day it was like, all right, you had like the Hulk Hogan, you had the Roddy Piper, you had the Macho Man, you had Andre the Giant, Kamala, this one, that one. Like you had like very drastically different cast of characters. Nowadays, I feel like the genre is very like micro focused on like just guys who wrestle really good, and like there's no real character behind it. I'm not saying like they're not like charismatic people or entertaining people, but what they present to you is just like, oh, I'm just a good wrestler. And unfortunately, when I stopped doing when I stopped being CPA for a while, that's what I got lumped into. It was if even that, I think people are just like, we don't know we don't know what you are anymore. You're just like a wrestler guy who makes funny faces and doesn't really know what to do with his hands. So I just kind of like floundered around for a while. Thankfully it was during the pandemic, so everyone was floundering. But I felt like a drastic difference in my like trajectory between when I was like struggling as like a gimmick character wrestler, and I'm like, oh, now I'm struggling as just a regular wrestler. So I have no lifeline at all. Like I can't be like, hey guys, I do a funny thing with my tie. Now it's just like, I wrestle like everyone else. I'm just another. I'm a.
I think that's an allegory for a lot of the stuff that we go through, even all of us separately, right? Like, and I think that's why we want to we wanted to invite you as a guest, because I thought you would have something beyond the fact that you've done some cool stuff recently, and in your past, but the fact that you are chasing after something that you really care about, and you found your niche. That's kind of something that we all, us three, have also done. Kind of figured out what we're doing with this and carving out our niche. So we kind of appreciate the stories, and that's why we definitely brought you on. So I want to for me, thank you from the pod, just jumping on, but I do want to show the audience exactly what I'm not gonna lie, what inspired me, because I saw you and I was like, holy fucking shit, this dude I used to drink beers with is getting chopped by one of the biggest wrestlers literally of all time. And it's one of the funniest things to me, because you went on to All Elite Wrestling on one of their dark YouTube episodes, and was this in Queens?
Crazy.
Yeah, you were Arthur Ashe Stadium. So fucking huge night, dude. That was gigantic, dude. Yeah, I don't remember the numbers, but it was thousands and thousands of people, and this is right after us being shut down for all that time, and people finally gathering together under one of the biggest fucking nights
for you.
With a return of
coming out of the shutdown.
Yeah, it was like five weeks ago, maybe.
Oh yeah. This is a peak. This is a peak for everybody, I think. Yeah, and you had Bryan Danielson.
Well, that
was actually debut on that night.
Well, yeah,
which was,
so they taped everything.
Was it on that night?
That was that night. I think was
it 2
his
nights
first
that
match.
Was Arthur Ashe?
Part of AEW. It was him and Omega.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, that alone created so much freaking buzz. But even for guys who have seen, because I don't know if you guys know this about the independent wrestling circuit. It works like a scene itself. Especially in the Northeast, there's people that you're going to see often. You're going to see coming in and out of different places, wrestling in different locations. And, I think it's AEW has done kind of a nice job at picking at some of those student showcases, especially from around the Five Boroughs and outside. So it's cool to see definitely a lot of wrestlers, but especially this one
is a little slow. But
this is great.
Oh, that is in fact the Big Show. Yes, no one is that tall on Earth. Choking you out, very sensual.
That guy.
Paul White now. Oh my God! No, he just stroked his chest to let him know what was happening, and I can't presume to know what the fuck that felt like, because his hands are literally the size of frying pan.
You ever watch one of those old cartoons, or the a cartoon character's walking and like a loose plank on the floor hits him in the face, or an anvil falls on their head and their body shakes. That was me. Whatever reaction I had after he made contact was not it wasn't me putting on a face. That's literally what my body was doing. My
body, is a 70-pound hand.
Yeah, legit.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah, and he wanted to make it. He needed to
the worst part was,
I mean, you're thinking about a stadium that's open air.
Considering how enormous his hand is,
a nice thing.
He didn't even really hit me in the pec. He hit me on my sternum. So I felt
he was trying to break you.
What's that?
Welcome to wrestling.
Yeah. So like I felt every bit of it, but it didn't make as good of noise as like if he chopped me in my
right on
pectoral muscle.
Right on the pec. Yeah.
The good thing about that was like beforehand, he's like, oh, like so like you're CPA, so like what do you wrestle in? I was like, well, I wrestle in like, you know, a button down shirt and clip on. He's like, oh well, I hope you have another shirt, right? And I was like, even if I didn't, I'm offering my shirt up too. It's no problem. And then I clued him in on the. And I normally don't like do peeks behind the curtain, but I feel like this is worth it. As we were like pretty much about to go out there, I was like, hey, so like I told you I have a clip-on tie. Like it's literally like a clip-on tie. Like you can pull it off and like have that like weird little moment where you're holding a tie in your hand. And he was like, huh, that's funny. I'm going to do that.
Yes.
I was like, you should.
Which he did.
You totally should. And
oh God, yeah, that's hysterical. Yeah, and it looked great. Honestly, it was so funny. I like literally busted out laughing.
Mark Henry,
been hearing. Was it? It
Mark
was
Henry,
Mark
Eddie
Henry
Kingston,
saying
and Tony
that it was
Schiavone
a
were just like
as commentator, which
baffled by my existence for the next 2.5 minutes or whatever. They were just like, "What is this guy doing here?" And I was thinking the same thing. What am I doing here?
Dude.
Like, what is? what's the idea here? You know, that was crazy too, because like literally I'd say 6:30, 7 o'clock the night before, I got a call. They're like, "Hey, can you make it tomorrow?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. What else am I doing?" But I just thought I was just going there just to like be a security guard or like just do nothing. And then they were like, "Oh yeah, it's you, VSK, and RSP against Paul, but like we're all pretty much only putting you guys together because of your initials." And I was like, "All right," but yeah. But the thing I was worried about was, so like I've done.
They literally said that on
I
air
did like a
also.
match for WWE a
Like,
few years ago, and they were like, "Oh, like no gimmicks. Like you have to just like wear trunks and like have a name." I was like, "All right, whatever."
Yes.
So I didn't really like. I assumed because like I'm in like the little like Creative Pro universe that they had a general idea of what my deal was, and I sent them pictures. So like it's like hopefully they know that I'm literally wrestling in a pink button-down shirt and pants and a tie. And I just walked around in it all day and hoped that nobody would like be any of the wiser. Because like I don't know, I just feel like in WWE, if I did that, I could walk around all day and they're just like, "Oh, you're gonna put on like wrestling clothes eventually, right?" And I was like, "No, these are my wrestling clothes." So like,
this is it.
And granted, I soaked in the moment a lot, but I didn't. I was so shook that someone was going to be like, "Hey, no, you have to wear like wrestling clothes. Like, why are you wearing that?" So I was so preoccupied with that I didn't have time to like kind of take in like, "Oh, I'm doing this right now. Like, this is like I'm wrestling in front of like I think there was like almost 20,000 people there. It was like this is about to happen. I was just like waiting for like. Again, this is like insane, awesome. But like Tony Khan to come over me and grab me by the collar and be like, "What the fuck are you doing? You're making what is this? What kind of fugazi place does this look like that you're going to go out there to, whatever." I was just waiting for like some sort of intervention, some divine intervention or something like that. But I was just like, it didn't happen, and they were like, "All right, you guys are up." And I was like, I looked down, I was like, I'm up, and they're like, "Yep, you're up." And I was like, "All right, I'm going out."
Bet.
Like this, not like
now.
I'm not putting on underwear.
How did you? What brought you to the conclusion to be a CPA like wrestler of all things?
So the original idea I had, and I started wrestling in 2013. The original idea, and this was like kind of like on the back end of like Occupy Wall Street and all like the weird little like kind of slacktivist movements that were going on. That I was a part of, as it turned out. So my idea, I want to be like an Occupy Wall Street, like hipster transplant wrestler, where I would like come to the ring with like skinny jeans and like, you know, basically the clothes I wear in real life. Like smoking an e-cigarette and like selling my shitty art at the merch table and like drinking PBR or like, you know, like Tecate on the way to the ring or something like that.
That was the look you described 2013 perfectly.
Yep, exactly. So I was talking to my
exactly
friend
what Nick looked like.
I started training in June, and there was a show in July that was going to have like a battle royal with like a bunch of the new guys in it, and they're like, "Oh, you're on it. You just need like you can't like come in like the clothes that you train in. You have to have like gear or at least a gimmick that necessitates like oh I'm gonna be a plumber, so I'm gonna wear like plumber clothes, whatever plumber clothes are."
Right.
So I was talking to my friend, one of my friends, and he was like, "Hey, I know you want to do this hipster character, but I have this other idea that I've been like just wanting to see someone do." He was like, "You're going to be like," so like it's based off the movie Wall Street, which I still haven't seen because I'm a great method actor. So I was the original concept that we came up with. I was going to be. So I think the movie came out in 1986, the year I was born. So the basis was going to be I was cryogenically frozen in 1986, and I was brought back in 2013 to like right the financial wrongs of the independent wrestling industry.
It's so specific.
And so that was it. And like I went up to the guy who was like running the show, my trainer Pat. Specific. I was like, "Hey, so I'm gonna be a CPA." He was like, I just don't think he understood what I was saying to him.
He's like, "You're quitting, right? So you're gonna quit to be an accountant?"
Yeah. He's like, "Do you have?" He's like, "All right, do you have gear?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, cool, great. See you Saturday." So I show up and I'm like putting the clothes on, and I see everyone around me putting on trunks and knee pads and boots and kick pads and flashy stuff that they paid a lot of money for, and I'm putting on my $20 Kmart shirt and a button down and a clip on and all this stuff. I'm like, I don't belong here. I'm gonna get yelled at. Or so it was like the same. It was like full circle in advance, like the way I felt at AEW. I was like, someone's gonna tell me I shouldn't be doing this, right? Like, surely someone's gonna be like, "What are you doing? Like, put on real wrestling clothes." And then like I just went out to the ring, and like my one thing I had to get in. Oh yeah, so like when my friend Pete was originally pitching this idea to me, I was like, all right, well I have to wear a clip-on tie because I want to like choke people with it or like hit people with it or something crazy. And like the other thing, like the pink shirt was, I want to wear a pink shirt like Homer in that one episode of The Simpsons where like he washed his shirts with Bart's red hat. So that's literally where all this came from, was one Facebook Messenger conversation that I still have, that I still look at sometimes just to kind of like make myself laugh. And it just like took off from there. And the other thing was like, so we would do at training, we would do like nights where we'd be like, all right, like we're going to do promos. So like, we're going to, you know, like go up there and, you know, talk about a match you're going to have with this guy tonight and be like, so-and-so, I'm going to beat you up and I'm going to give you what for. But like, the way I spoke and the way I speak and the way I act and like my kind of like weird, stunted, awkward mannerisms, my trainer Pat was like, "Okay, what's the character you're going for?" And I explained it to him. I was like, "Oh, accountant, cryogenically frozen in 1986, obviously brought back." It's like Demolition Man, but like not as cool, you know? It's like Demolition Man if like if Rodney Dangerfield
it's like
starred
Time
in it instead of Sylvester Stallone. You know?
It's definitely.
It's a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
That would be a much better film. That is a much better film.
So
like I think let's
I
option
explained it to him. He's like,
NMT Productions / CPA.
You have it wrong. He's like, He's like, you literally act and look and speak like a guy who works in an office. So that's you just be yourself. Don't be like city slicker guy, whatever you think you're doing. Like, just be yourself. Just
he said, take the 80s out of it and just be the now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
He's like, just be awkward guy that you are. And I was like,
Now,
how do I?
did you work in an office at any point?
What's that?
Did you work in an office at any point?
I literally
or is this
worked.
Just you?
I literally worked in an office while I was like planting the seeds for this character. And I've worked in an office for a decent amount of my adult life. So it's not a complete stretch.
Wow.
But so my thought of it was, okay, that's great, but I need to actually emulate what it would look like if an accountant was a wrestler. So like I started just I would come out to the ring and it's not like a complete stretch. Like sometimes the lights they use at wrestling shows are really harsh. So I'd like come out to the ring and like shield my eyes and like hit the ropes and like, oh, that hurt my back. And then like the guy clobbers me or whatever. And I just like took that and like escalated it as much as possible. And again, like just treating it as if like a guy who was like in his, mid 30s just decided like on the weekends when I'm not at the office, I'm going to go be a pro wrestler and I'm going to see how it works. And that's it in a nutshell. But meanwhile, like all this time while I'm doing this, I'm also like going to wrestling training 3 days a week and trying to be become a good wrestler, which was like a good thing and a bad thing. So like basically everyone, I was told many times, you don't have to be a good wrestler. You don't have to come here. You can just do this forever and you'll be fine. I was like, yeah, but like, what if someone wants me to be a good wrestler? Then I have to get good at it somehow, So like, and like to go back to what I was saying before about like the whole weird dichotomy about like being a wrestler, being a character, like, okay, like I'll throw it out there. There's never, ever, ever going to be a shortage of short, white bearded guys in indie wrestling. It's never going to happen again. It's never going to happen again. We're here to stay.
Sounds fair.
We're here to stay. There's at least 10 of us on every indie show. Literally, Possum Ridge, Arkansas, there's going to be like 5 of me there, guaranteed. On a Thursday night at Stubby's Steakhouse, there's going to be a ring in the back room, and there's going to be like 5 guys who look like me on that show, guaranteed. So, like, kind of riding off of that again, like it's just finding a different presentation for what I'm doing. So, like, if I want to be on these shows, I have to provide a service. I have to provide something different other than, oh, you're just a wrestler guy. You're just a short, white bearded wrestler guy. Right. Okay, cool. There's none of those. So yeah, like it's just like providing a different flavor, especially like right now, because like, obviously like Christian, like you probably know, like fucking 20 people got released from WWE yesterday. Yeah, there's so much. Yeah, like there's so much.
Listen on the story. I have not been keeping.
Yeah, did they just get cut because they suck?
Yeah, it's a lot, man. So recently, WWE actually yesterday released 18 wrestlers, including Keith Lee, Karrion Kross, Scarlett Bordeaux, and Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik, and going down the list of extremely talented people, and had just been kind of let go out of their contract. And big part of it, and what everybody's pointing to, because this was right after they did a quarterly call, is that they felt that it was to kind of increase the budgets, to make the books look a little more healthier than they are. Nick is probably going to allude to this, but the fact is the wrestling industry, especially a lot of the promotions, are bloated at the moment. And so part of it is they're dumping people because they don't need to have them anymore. And what's kind of a scary situation is as somebody who loves pro wrestling and has friends and, just worries about the health of it, ROH, which is another long mainstay of the wrestling world, which if you don't know about it, Ring of Honor probably spouted just about every favorite wrestler and has influenced everyone after that. for the last 20 years. We've been feeling it for a long time. Like CM Punk, anybody that's anybody at this point that is one of those great wrestlers, Samoa Joe, they came from that factory of great talent, and they're reconsidering how they're doing business. Again, that was I guess a group that would take people who are on the smaller side, who maybe were a little more older, better hands at as wrestling. So there was a lot to offer, especially as ROH got towards its later years. But that's really a bummer, hearing that many people lose their jobs. So, I mean, I think it's 70 wrestlers so far in the past year, in just WWE, just the WWE, and it's they're having record-breaking profits. They just finished. They keep doing shows in Saudi Arabia, which there's a lot of controversy around that. But basically, the king can pay for whatever it is to make anybody do what they want in their land. So, regardless of where you stand on that, it's a lot to take in. But the fact is that these people lost their jobs and their livelihoods, and some people
being married is devastating.
Which is devastating. Sorry. It is devastating. You're right. That's a good note. Thank you. On that note, bam. No, that's dude. It is absolutely a true thing, and I don't know what else you wanted to pin on top of that,
pod taste,
Nick. But I get big high on this podcast and podcast.
So Nick, I want to ask you something.
I forget my place.
Like
I'm tasting
in New
something.
York.
Something.
Wrestling is the most popular in Queens. My mother kind of beat wrestling out of me, but like from the ages of like 3 to like 7, I was very into wrestling. All my Queens friends growing up were into wrestling. What's in the war? As someone who's immersed in the industry, can you tell me, first of all, is that true about New York? Is Queens the highest as far as wrestling fans go? And why do you think that is, if it is true?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really like that's an assessment I hadn't really considered before, but like I would say out of everyone, like I grew up in Queens, so like yeah, a lot of kids were wrestling fans when I was growing up. I don't know. That's like I can't even think of what
I define Queens as like the nerdiest borough. Queens is the nerdiest borough. So like every
I think
Queens dude is like into anime and wrestling, Marvel, and I don't know why that is. And I don't have any inside, but you're the inside man. So let me know what's in the water in Queens that's making us all love Goldust.
Everybody loves Goldust except
we all love Goldust.
Yeah. Except our parents.
We're talking 1990s, like 6, 7 Goldie.
I don't know. I guess like
deep.
Yeah, that's a real. I mean, like Queens is enormous, so that might be one of. Like Queens is just really nerdy. It's very like, I'd say, maybe not now, but like when I was growing up, Queens was like the biggest melting pot of like
there's a lot of niches,
cultures, and like.
Oh, it still is.
Still is.
It is the place where the most languages in the world are spoken.
Yeah,
definitely is still.
2017 study.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like, I don't know, maybe did we get like more channels in Queens or something? I don't know.
Place.
Like, that's. Well,
I want to say Queens was probably
there was definitely more comic book shops. I think that's part of it.
The cheapest borough, like in the.
Yeah,
because it wasn't 80s and on fire like the Bronx, so it was like okay, we can go to the place on fire,
it was,
or we can go to the place that's a little more expensive and not on fire. Let's go to Queens.
Yeah. I'm also thinking about like okay, so I was actually just talking to some like one of my mom's friends about it today because he's like still kind of a wrestling fan, but he's in like his mid-50s, and like so back in the whatever 60s 70s, there was Sunnyside Gardens, and then there was also the Ridgewood Grove Arena, and I'm guessing this was again there's no basis, like I could be wearing a tinfoil hat right now, but like I'm guessing this is probably after Ridgewood and Bushwick kind of separated after like the blackout. So I don't know, maybe that's it. Like there's just more access to like arenas and
Yeah.
wrestling and stuff. Cause like like Brooklyn had like the Dodgers and all that shit, and like Manhattan had the Giants and the Yankees, kind of like Manhattan and the Bronx, Staten Island, whatever. So I don't know. Maybe it's just like Queens had more access to wrestling, more access to venues. I know like there were a few like a handful like powerlifting gyms in Queens that wrestlers used to go to. I don't know. Okay. That's a really I think.
Oh yeah, dude.
Ooh, is that the ultimate nerd? The bodybuilder?
I'm watching videos
because I think they're far nerdier than all of us. Combined. You need like 15 egg whites before you could eat turkey rolls, bro. You gotta get your peak at this moment. And I'm like, Justin talks to me for like a long time, and I believe everything he says.
About steroids,
but it is far nerdier than when I talk about anime.
So I'm just like,
same.
I'm just like, yeah, Anavar, man, yeah, crazy stuff.
Yeah, totally.
You're rolling your spinach wrong.
I've never taken steroids because my whole thing, like I asked like someone who had done them like regularly. I was like, can I just get on like one cycle and then just keep that shape forever? They're like, it doesn't really work that way. I'm like, no, I'll keep working out. I just want to look this way and then just keep this forever. Like, can I do that? And they're like, yeah, you can, but it's like, it's not a realistic goal, you know? And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm not doing it.
Well, I mean, there's a lot more resources now because a lot more people are being like more candid about their PED use.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Derek from More Plates, More Dates?
No.
He's a YouTuber, and the name of his channel is super misleading because it sounds douchey, but he's like, I don't know, he's like a PhD or something, but like he's got his own like clinic that he's just opened up where he'll like do blood work for you and like has like a whole team like to help you do PEDs. I don't know how much the service costs, but I mean, if you watch like 5 of his YouTube videos, you're like, oh, I would definitely trust this guy.
What is it? More plates, does, like, more dates.
Reviews. More plates, more dates.
I'm gonna write that down. Look that up. That sounds.
So if the CPA cannot fit into his Kmart shirts in a
sir, if you are listening to the podcast,
someone's hitting the gas, bro. What's going on in that office?
Yeah.
More plates, more dates. I mean, if I have anything going on for me, I have like decent core strength because growing up in Queens and not wanting to wait. No, specifically growing up in Glendale and having no trains anywhere near me and only having access to the Q55 and the Q29. I walked a lot when I was a kid, so I have like decent sized legs compared to the rest of my body.
Shout out.
Yes,
You do have meaty legs. I got to say this before we trail off, because I'm going to say this personally. Like I said, I watched Nick wrestle as CPA, and CPA is has a great moveset. One of my favorite movesets, because I just popped into my head, and I saw it live, and it was hysterical. Literally, he climbs up to the top rope, realizes it's a little too high up. Gets down to the second rope, wants to do the jump, but then realizes a little too high. So he gets onto the last rung of the rope and then jumps.
Brought that back for the first time
alone
in
is magnifique.
I can't remember. I think the last time I'd done it was maybe like 2017 or 18, and I brought it back like 2 weekends ago just because I was like, the situation called for it, and the ropes. It
was time.
The ropes were very loose. So it was very accurate. It was a very accurate depiction of what I was going through at the time. That like something like that. Like that was just like something I like messed around with in practice. Like we would do practice matches.
Oh, this is great.
And I'm thinking. I literally I didn't like write it down or anything. I just I went up to the top rope because I was just like messing around during a match. And I was like, wait, a CPA wouldn't jump off the top rope. So I went down to the second rope and I did something off the second rope. And then I think you might have been at the show where I teamed up with Gangrel. Were you there? I think you were there. Yeah.
That's crazy, Gangrel.
that was the first. Okay, so like a month and a half before that show, I had my first really bad concussion. I was like I was just like messing around before a show, like 10 minutes before the doors opened, and the top and middle rope snapped on me, and I fell out of the ring, like on my head, basically. So I actually had like really bad vertigo after that, so this worked out perfectly. So that was my first time doing that in front of a crowd and doing like the top rope, middle rope, first rope thing. And like people were like, what did I just watch?
Oh my God.
Like all
It was great. It was great. It was like art. It was pure art in motion. Like it was. I had to, because there's a lot of psychology that goes behind wrestlers, like you with gimmicks like yourself.
Yeah.
Like you're actually thinking about how that wrestler would act in that situation. So that's method acting, no matter what anybody says. Like, and again, like being someone who appreciates it and someone who appreciates comedy wrestling as far as it goes back, and seeing wrestlers like yourself and some others that are trying to keep it alive, it's dope, because it's something that is absolutely needed. I mean, wrestling is always going to be a minstrel of characters. It has to be for everyone to feel like they walked away satisfied. So, like, you're going to need the wrestly types. You're going to need the high-flying type, but you're also going to need the guys who
that's like
how to make
I was actually, someone asked me yesterday, like
really
what's your
get the crowd going.
Like, what's your mission statement in wrestling? Like, what's your end game? And I was like, honestly, like, I just think of like the people I grew up watching, and I just want to be. Ultimately, like, you want to be the guy on the show that everyone goes home and talks about, because otherwise you're just like, that guy was okay, but like the guy with the pink button down, I don't know, there was something weird about him. And it was also like, especially my first few years when I was like still kind of developing my wrestling style, I like almost every single show I was on, I would have like, like a mom and a dad, like a kid and like his dad or something like that, be like, like my dad or my mom or my wife or whatever has never been to a wrestling show. They don't like it. They think it's stupid, but they like what you do. And I was just like, oh, that's kind of like a cool little like dragon to chase. Like, cause the other thing like with wrestling right now is like, it's a very, very, very niche market. There's not a lot of people, like there are people watching wrestling, but compared to like when I was growing up, there's like a fraction of that. And like, to me, I'm just looking to get the people who maybe like would be watching it back then either back into it, or like that the next I want to get like the next generation of the eventually lapsed fans into it.
Catch on early.
So let me ask you: Are you sticking with the CPA character for the long haul? Do you have other character ideas?
Yeah,
what's going on there?
I'm having fun with it now. I wasn't having fun with it for a while because it was something I was going to bring up before, actually, like when Christian was talking about like different types of wrestlers. The one thing with doing like comedy wrestling or whatever is that a lot of indie wrestling promoters think that, oh, you're a comedy wrestler, so I'm going to have you wrestle other comedy wrestlers. And I'm like, the whole fun of being a specific type of wrestler, especially a comedy wrestler, is to have other people to work off of. So like, instead of us just sitting in the ring, like basically like having a dick waving contest, like who's going to be funnier, ha, like I'd rather wrestle Big Show 5 nights a week than have like an easy silly comedy match with some other comedy wrestler, because it'll get a better reaction from the crowd. People, you can do more with it. You can do like clever, goofy spots if you're wrestling a comedy wrestler every night. But like at the end of the day, like the whole point of this is to take people out of the fact that they know that they're just watching people, like more or less fake fight. So if I wrestle a guy like the Big Show, or a guy like, like whatever, a big dude, or like a strong guy or a fast guy or whatever, like to me, like that's a fun dynamic to work with. Whereas if you're just like I had some promoter come up to me like a week or two ago. I swear this dude came up to me like he just saw the fucking Loch Ness monster. Like he just like big revelation. He's like, CPA, I have this great idea for this match I want to put you in. And I already knew where he was going. I rolled my eyes. I was like, what is it? He's like, and like Hot Dog Starks. Have you guys heard of Hot Dog Starks?
I have not.
I have not.
He's like a great friend of mine. He literally wrestles in a hot dog suit. Great friend of mine. You should have him on.
Right to the point.
Great. He's great. He's like, I'm gonna have you and Hot Dog Starks and some other dude I've never heard of in like a comedy match. And I was like, oh, so 3 comedy wrestlers instead of 2. That sounds exhausting. That's like
I'm like watching the Three Stooges.
Yeah, but we're supposed to be fighting each other, which like I know, like like everyone knows it's fake, but like, and like like I like train kids at people at Creative Pro Wrestling now. Like I help train, and like I'll tell them like, okay, like yeah, you want to do the moves and you want to do the cool stuff, but like at the end of the day, like there he is.
There's our boy, Hot Dog Starks.
Yeah, hot dog's great. He's the man. We love hot
Relish
dogs.
and all.
Yeah. Yep. Actually, the first time he wrestled as Hot Dog Starks, so it was a complete accident.
Amazing.
Him and another friend of mine went to a Target. I think, yeah, they both lived in the Bronx at the time, and they went to the Target by, I think it's like 138th Street or something like that, and he tried on like a hot dog Halloween costume, and they posted a video of him wearing it, and the guy who was booking for WrestlePro instantly texted him and was like, yo, you're a hot dog now, like you're wrestling as a hot dog now, like that's your gimmick.
You're a hot dog now.
Like I'm not yeah. Yeah, he's like, I'm not.
Free promo for this guy.
Glizzy.
He does have merch.
A glizzy in the Bronx.
Yeah, he's great.
If we're gonna be
Support Hot Dog Starks. He was on ESPN recently at the hot dog eating contest. Like no pub, he just showed up by himself and just stood in the crowd and like got on TV.
My God.
I forgot where I was going with this.
Amazing.
3 comedy wrestlers, Hot Dog Starks being one of them.
So I'm like, okay, so like what's the so like okay, so you want to do your moves, going back to like training, like you want to do your moves, you want to like do the cool stuff, but like ultimately like there are people that are paying to like voluntarily paying money that they made to watch people do something that they know isn't super on the up and up. So like you have to take them out of that at some point. So if you have 3 comedy wrestlers just tickling each other for 10 minutes, what's the end game? Who cares? You know what I mean? So that was like a lot of the reason that I didn't want to do the comedy wrestling anymore, because I was just like, I just kept getting stuck with like, oh man, I have this great idea for you. It's going to be you and some dude. And the other problem is, and like, I'm not trying to like pat myself in the back here, but like a lot of comedy wrestlers, and I was one of them for a long time, suck. They're just not good. I was a comedy wrestler because I wasn't a good wrestler yet. And then once I became a good wrestler, then I was able to, incorporate the wrestling into what I was already doing. But I just got like, I kept getting like into these positions where it's like, I'd get hit up by like a promoter and whatever, like Florida or North Carolina. I'd be like, hey man, I want to bring you in. Cool. What do you got for me? It's going to be you and jumping Joey, Jumping Joey Lumberjack or whatever. And I get there and it's some guy dressed up as a lumberjack, and he's not jumping anywhere ever.
And he's not jumping anyway.
He's gonna be jumping and lumberjack.
And I'm like, and that was just like there was like rinse, repeat. Like you're gonna be wrestling the worst person ever, and you're not gonna have fun, and it's gonna be like a chore, and like and my other thing, and like going back to what I was saying before about how when I went to training, people were like, you don't have to come to training, you could just do what you're doing forever. I saw and recognized that a lot of the other people I trained with never wrestled outside of their comfort zone. They never wrestled outside of New York. They never wrestled outside of New Jersey. I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go wherever there's a ring, and I'm going to get better that way, as well as going to training 3 days a week. I'm going to drive to West Virginia this weekend. I'm going to drive to North Carolina. I'm going to drive to Ohio, Indiana, whatever, this weekend, and wrestle in front of new people and get better that way. And figure out what's working, what's not working, what I could be doing better, what I would do less of. And so a lot of the people that I was getting put in with, it was like, oh, like your act, the act that you do works really well in front of certain people. But then if you try it outside of that certain group of people, and again, this is why I had to do it. I had to just go out and just learn on the road. Because I was like, all right, this spot might work in front of Christian at Rahway, New Jersey, but if I go to Spencer, West Virginia, they're going to be like, what the fuck are you doing? What is this? This isn't, I don't even know what I'm watching. I wrestled in Spencer, West Virginia, real place.
Spencer.
It's the company is literally called Route 33 Wrestling.
It does not sound like a real
33. We were on Route 33 for 100 miles. We had no cell phone service, and the only thing that you see are trailers, dilapidated things that used to be houses, and bug lights. That's it for 100 miles.
Shit.
Oh, it was great. We're driving
great.
there, and I'm
Sounds
like,
a nice place.
Wrestling in front of goats.
Sounds like a very
interesting. Are there
interesting
going to be
place.
people there?
Yeah,
and then
pigs actually.
Yeah. No, it was great. There were 200 very enthusiastic people there, and
murderers. Because that's usually what
VFW
it is.
with a dirt 4 for some reason. I was like, all right, living the dream.
Damn.
What the
VFW's down bad.
That
sure does, especially in
man,
wrestling.
If you don't think it exists, it does exist in America. But listen, I wanna thank you for jumping on the pod. I want you to plug all the stuff that you talk about, because there's another thing that you also do, and I want to shout that out before we sign off. And that's CPA's number of the week, which also cracks me the fuck up. It is, if you haven't seen it, please check it out, guys. If you haven't seen it, I will link you to all of it. We'll link everybody to it on our description, so you don't have to worry about that. But could you remind people where they should be checking you out, where they should be if there's somehow a booker that watches this, or anybody that's interested in getting something from you, merchandise,
Twitter and Instagram at CPAwrestles. I tweet a lot from the office about day-to-day CPA office things. My Instagram is, I don't know, some days I'll just find a funny little snippet from a match I had 6 years ago, and I'll put it up on Instagram because I'm like, oh, that was kind of cute.
Nice.
I have a Facebook fan page, which it's just called CPA. So you're going to have to look, and
Good
you'll
luck.
find it.
So you just didn't think to add CPA wrestling?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we link it. We're gonna link all the right socials and everything, but that's great. Seriously, guys, if you haven't checked it out, if you haven't seen any of our good friend over here, you can definitely catch his match on AEW Dark. His match starts right around the 14-minute mark.
Mm-hmm.
It is again against Paul White, formerly known as Big Show, which was for any kid who grew up in the 90s and late 90s watching wrestling, seeing somebody like that chop a dude you used to drink a lot of beer with and hugged a bunch. It was a revelation, and a lot of our good friends actually just went nuts for it. But this has been the National Meat Treasure. Again, you can follow us on all our socials: YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Rate us on Apple. That's a thing. We want to make sure that we keep on top of our.
I'm such a dumb baby. I've been talking to you guys for an hour, and I just realized your show is called National Meat Treasure. I'm screaming right now. I love this so much.
I don't even know how it came up, but I was like, let's go with that.
It's the meat treasure, bro. We're the meat treasure. Yeah.
I think we were talking about.
He literally said it to me while,
that
again,
fucking-
another
what's that-
time
that
when I was
movie
really high and tired. And he
with
said,
the fucking
what about
dude,
National
Nicolas
Meat Treasure?
Cage? And it was like,
National Treasure? Is it National Treasure?
and it was like something
Dude,
with
what's
something to do. It was something about my dick. And it was like, I am the.
The
That's what it
national
is.
treasure.
It was my
Yes.
dick is the national meat treasure.
National Meat Treasure.
I hope this gets famous. So my. I could.
It always comes back to him. It always comes back to him, guys. So if you were listening, you just know that it's always about Justin's penis, no one else's penises, because he deeps in the shallowest of pussies. This has been the National Meat Treasure. We're signing the fuck off.
Always.
Follow us all. Justin is half naked, always showing his dick again. He's at thin.cruel.lips. And we got Joey at
maybe.
Saint
I don't
Thriller
know.
on all of his
I'm not even
socials.
sure.
Young Moth
I'm not
3.
pushing that right now because it's a little
Really?
inactive. Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Our
dead.
Spotify
Oh,
and
you know
Apple
what we need to
playlists.
push?
Yes, we now have
motherfucker.
playlists on Spotify.
The official National
and
Meat
Apple
Treasure
music
playlist.
that we're bumping.
We put some
and
shit on there.
related
And
to
we've
current
discussed
events
on the pod.
And yeah.
It's all Drake and new metal.
And we talk on the pod.
Oh yeah.
So expect
Love all that.
some Creed to jump on there today. And now it's gonna be Creed, and I've already put some weird shit on there. I mean, we got American Head Charge on there, so we're not sane,
Definitely not.
and we shouldn't be allowed anywhere to influence
you.
young people. But here we are. The National Meat Treasure
I'm so
loves
glad
you.
I noticed it at
Thank
the
you,
end and
Nick.
not the
It was
beginning because I
fucking
would have been inconsolable.
Awesome speaking with you, boys. I love y'all.
National Meat Treasure.